to see y'all. It's been a while. They got me on the time limit here, so I can't say too much. You know, learn not to give me this microphone though. But so just going through a quick testimonial of my life and just how I've come to know Christ and some of the things that He's done for me in my life. In high school and even throughout my childhood, I was a very fragile young man. And I was fortunate and blessed enough not to ever break anything, but I was always bruising something or spraining an ankle, spraining a wrist. And so arm wraps and crutches were like a part of my attire. And but there's one incident that God really used to, I guess you could say, be the analogy of my life. So in high school, I climbed a barbed wire fence. I'm pretty sure I have a reasonable explanation for it somewhere, but yeah. So I'm climbing this fence, and I get to the top of it, and I'm just trying to make sure that, none of my clothes or anything get snagged before I jump. Well, I didn't do a good job, because I jumped, but I didn't go nowhere. So I'm hanging in the fence, my foot is up here somewhere, and my shirt is snatched up over here, and I don't know, it was a mess. So I get down from the fence, and the band is over here, the tennis team is over here, but thankfully no one saw me. So I got away with it. I'm walking back towards the band, and I stopped because they were coming towards me. We were getting ready to go back in. And I looked down, and I saw droplets of blood on the ground. So I'm trying to figure out where this blood is coming from, and I feel something warm running down my finger. And I look at my finger, and there's a big chunk of my finger that's hanging on by a wing and a prayer, as they like to call it. And so I didn't feel it. I didn't know that I was bleeding. I didn't know that I had been, cut so badly. And then once I looked at it, then it began to hurt. I know, right? It didn't hurt until I noticed that it was there. So I kind of reflect that as to my life, because I came up in the church. I started singing at the age of 3. I started playing the drums at the age of 10. My father was a minister. And so, I've known of God all my life. But I have not known God all my life. They say that pastors' kids are the worst. And for me, at least, I can say that I have to somewhat agree. And the reason they give is rebellion, but mine wasn't really rebellion against the values that were instilled in me. It was more so hurt and anger and, a sense of loss, because I lost my father in 2005 at the age of 13. The very next year, 2006, my grandfather died. The very next year, 2007, my grandmother died. So here I am, a 15-year-old boy, and my father's gone and I have no grandparents. And so I'm so angry, and I'm just, all these things, but I don't have time to feel and I don't have time to grieve, because, my mom is trying to hold the entire family together, which my grandmother was doing. And so now I'm here trying to fill the shoes of my father at 15. So I didn't grieve. I didn't really grieve for my father and my grandparents until 2009, the end of my junior year. One day, I started crying and I couldn't stop. And so, with that, it just opened the doors for a whole lot of stuff. I began to party, and I was drinking and, getting high and all this other stuff with people that I shouldn't have been hanging with, people, that, they weren't necessarily bad people, but they weren't for me. That wasn't where I was supposed to be. And it took all of that to really one day show me that, I was hurting. Because I was lost and I was hurt, and I didn't even know that I was lost. I didn't know that I was hurt. Some kind of way, the pain just wasn't there until, as I did with my finger, I looked at it and I noticed it. I saw the blood. I saw that I had been cut deep. I saw that something wasn't right. And only then I began to seek God, and I began to, wonder Because I always felt like, there was more. I had a higher calling. There was more for me. There was more to my life than what I felt like I was doing or what I felt like I should have been doing. But I wasn't ready to step into that. So I ran from it. I pushed God aside. I filled it with temporary pleasures, and I filled it with things that I thought I wanted to do. But one thing I've learned is being called by God, you can't really run from it. Because no matter where you are, no matter what you're doing, He's there. Because He's in you. He's always in you. You just have to realize that He's there. And so once I accepted that, once I, really looked into it, and I was just like, okay, God, this is where I want to be. I want to be with you. I want to be in you. And then and only then, could He really begin to move and begin to fill the voids that had been left there by my father and from missing my grandparents and all the other things that I was just trying to fill it with. Now, once I accepted Him, if I were to say that I didn't hurt anymore, I would be lying. If I was to say that I didn't sin anymore, I would be lying. If I was to say that I never cried again, I would be lying. But if I stood here, when I stand here and tell you that I was never alone after that, when I stand here and I tell you that it didn't hurt as much after that, when I stand here and I tell you that I didn't have to do it on my own, that is the truth. God never told me it would be easy, but He said it will be easier. He never said I wouldn't hurt, but He said when you do hurt, bring it to me, and I'll get you through it. And since the day that I said, Father, come into my life, Father, since the day that I said, Lord, I am yours, I've never been alone. Since that day, it hasn't always been something. But when the storms came, I knew where to go. I wasn't running around like a chicken with my head cut off trying to figure out where I need to be. I knew who to go to. I knew where He was, and I knew how to contact Him. And so I stand here today, a sinner saved by grace, resting in the promises of my Heavenly Father.